All right. Good afternoon, everybody. We are here for a CLE today on law practice management. We have a lot of great guest speakers. I'm excited to present them. The first guest speaker is Ms. Ruby Powers. Ms. Powers is the managing attorney at Powers Law Group. She practices immigration law, has been licensed for 15 years, has been running her firm for 12 years. She is a teacher of law practice management here in Houston, a mother, author, international speaker, advocate, and mentor. She's been featured in the Washington Post, CNN, NPR, and New York Times. She's recently published a book, Build and Manage Your Successful Law Practices Without Losing Your Mind. And we're honored to have her here today. Ms. Powers, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me. And my firm is going to hit its 14th year this November. So I guess just time is flying by. But and I'm actually already working on the second edition of my book right now because it first came out in 2019. So, I mean, I think anybody who's interested in having your own firm or learning some of these best practices, whether you're going to, you're moving on up as partner or right-hand associate, these are really great skills and nuggets of wisdom to learn.
Great. Well, we can put your book link in the chat for anybody that's interested in reading that. I think it would be super beneficial. We also have Mr. Alfred Benoit joining us. He was having some technical difficulties, so he will log in when he can. Mr. Benoit practices civil litigation and manages Benoit Law PLLC. Prior to starting his firm, he practiced at Haynes & Boone in civil litigation. He served as the president of the Houston Lawyers Association from 2016 to 17, and currently sits on the board of Houston Lawyer Referral Service. He's also a U.S. Navy vet and has managed his practice for 12 years. So also honored to have him once he joins us. We also have another special guest, Ms. Samantha Torres, who might be a familiar face. She previously served as the HYLA president, currently sits on the board for the Houston Lawyer Referral Service. She's going to talk briefly about that so that everybody can learn a little more about the Houston Lawyer Referral Service. So go ahead, Sam.
Thank you. And thank you to HYLA for doing another CLE this year with HLRS. We did one last year and got a lot of great feedback. So we wanted to continue to share the benefits of HLRS, especially for young lawyers. So briefly about HLRS, it was established in 1958 and is sponsored by the Houston Bar Association and 8 other local bar associations. We serve Harris, Fort Bend, Brazoria, Montgomery, and Galveston counties. So if there's anybody out there in those further counties who'd be interested in joining HLRS, please visit our website. So attorneys who apply for membership to HLRS, they are vetted and go through a screening process before being accepted. And as a condition of membership, attorneys agree to charge $20 for the first 30 minutes of in-person consultation, and then a reasonable fee of $200 to $400 an hour. So we essentially connect people who may not know attorneys or have attorneys in their contacts, and we connect them with vetted attorneys who meet this qualification so that we can provide quality service to those potential clients. And then on the flip side, as a benefit to potentially solo or small firm attorneys, they're able to get some business out of this. So on average, attorneys who are part of HLRS earn $20 $20,000 annually through referrals. So if you're starting your own practice, if you're solo, and even if you've been practicing for years or at a smaller firm, this is such a valuable resource to help you find clients. But I'll leave it at that. And if you want to find out more information, please visit our website at hlrs.org, and I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you for that, Sam. I did not introduce myself. My name is Ciara Perritano. I also sit on the Houston Lawyer Referral Service Board as the Houston Young Lawyer Liaison. So I also sit on the HYLA board. Great to be involved in both organizations. If anybody has any questions, I'll drop my email in the chat also, and you can feel free to send me an email and I'll connect you with the right people. Welcome, Mr. Benoit. We did your introduction before you joined us. If you'd like to briefly introduce yourself, and then we can get started with our topic.
Excellent. Thank you, Ciara. And my apologies. I had signed in earlier and I couldn't get the video going, so I had to sign out, sign back in. But I'm here now. Thank you. My name is Al Benoit. I am a solo practitioner here in Houston, and I also sit on the Houston Lawyer Referral Services Board. This is my second stint on the board. I was on the board for several years, probably 3, maybe 4 years prior, and really enjoyed it and rolled off. I am the Houston Bar Association's representative. So this is my second stint on the board. I'm also a member. So I receive cases, and I've been receiving cases for several years. And I could reiterate what Samantha says, that you do get a lot of referrals, and a lot of really, really good referrals, and allows you to really build your practice and really make some really good money. So it was a gem of a find when I found out how much that you can make, how many referrals. What's the budget of HLRS? They really spend a lot of money advertising, bringing in clients, and just word of mouth along with the advertising. So it is a fantastic organization which supports the Houston Bar and the surrounding counties, and matches future clients with attorneys that are competent and can help them and help fulfill their needs. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask. Thanks.
Yeah, and also to that end, if you're at a larger firm who may be priced out or may not be using the referral service, you can still sit on the board or volunteer. It's great networking, great way to meet other individuals, and I would highly encourage involvement, even if maybe the referral service isn't something that you necessarily need. And it's a great way to get involved in the bar community. So let's get started. So how did you guys decide that you wanted to hang your own shingle and put your name on the door? Whoever feels inclined to take that question first.
Well, I'll start. I started law school at an older age. I didn't start law school at 32. It was a lifelong dream. I graduated at 35. And when I went to law school, I'd worked several jobs, and I knew, and I always wanted to be a lawyer. And I had the confidence that to kind of, believe that one day I'll be able to have my own law firm. And that would be the way that I would build my name, reputation, and fortune in the future. And once I got to law school, I really started to learn more about attorneys that had started their own law firm. I was fortunate. I worked at a large firm leaving law school, doing corporate work. But I always had it in my mind that I wanted to open my own firm. So I set out to find mentors and investigate how to do it, talk to people how to do it, save my resources, because I've been around long enough to know everything has ups and downs. And definitely the legal profession, when you are a small firm or solo practitioner, it has major ups and downs. So you have to kind of prepare yourself. So I took the leap after about 3.5 years of working at a large firm to start my own firm. And I was blessed with really great mentors, who referred really good cases to me, who helped me work those cases, who allowed me to, share space with them and kind of get my feet under me. So it really benefited me to kind of have that mentality for several years before I actually made the jump. And it helped me tremendously to go out and find mentors. And these are people that I either heard about or learned about or met during law school or early years of practice that I stayed in touch with and say, hey, maybe one day let me pick your brain. And I wasn't ready at the time to talk to them about it, but later on down the road I was. And what I found out is if people are willing and want to help, I do, younger attorneys because it's not a zero-sum game out of here. There's enough money, work, opportunities for everyone. And the energy flows both ways. So when you give out, give good energy, you get it back. You get it back. So a closed hand, you won't lose anything, but you will not regain anything. So I'm very keen on helping young attorneys. I've been practicing since 2008, and I love what I do. I've learned so many areas. So I like to get back to her point about starting. I started before I started. Let me just put it that way. It was a mental start first, and then actually setting the foundation. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Ms. Powers, what was your defining moment that you were going to start Powers Law Group?
Well, I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. My grandparents were missionaries in Mexico, and the other line of family were dairy farmers in Missouri. So it's not necessarily being lawyers, but I did see them not really ever stop working 24/7 and just sort of have that gumption to create something of their own. And then my dad had his own business, and my aunt was a lawyer and is a lawyer in Missouri. So I interned for her in high school. So just having that exposure just opened my eyes to what it's like for the entrepreneur mindset. And I think if you see a lot of it, then it becomes comfortable and less scary. All those unknowns. Then I would say I graduated in 09, so we realized there was really similar timeline there, and that was not a really actually, just kidding. I graduated in 08. It's all blurry. So we both graduated the same year. I graduated in 08, which was not a good year because we were in the Great Recession. And I got my first job applying to a legal assistant post, and she graciously gave me an attorney job. But then after about 5 or 6 months, she let me go. It was a tough year, and then I got another job, completely different immigration, both sides, but one was very high tech digital representation, even though that was back in like 09. We never really saw the clients. And then the other one was very high volume and just a different and more touch focused, like core interviews and that type of thing. So it was really good crash course on what I would need to do as an attorney. And then I was able to, I got laid off twice that year. So then I decided the very next day to go start my business. And I really wanted to, it's just my husband said we needed to have secure jobs to buy a house. So luckily I bought a house in between getting laid off. And then I was able to start my business. So it was sort of a win-win-win. And it also gave me a lot more flexibility for having a family later on. But I mean, it was really hard to start my business in the recession, having to learn how to be an attorney and be a business owner at the same time in an economic downturn. Don't recommend it, but it did make me stronger on both ends. So
it all worked out.
It all worked out.
To that end, you mentioned buying a house. How did you sleep at night knowing that you could or could not generate enough income to pay for that mortgage on that new house? What was your initial plan?
I think I was just excited to have my own business, and I was hustling. I was always like posting online, trying on Avo and listservs. And I was trying to find people and just really hustling. I don't know. I mean, my husband had a paycheck, not that meant that everything was safe, but I figured I had at least a few months to start making money. And so I guess I don't know. I didn't let that stop me, because one of they've learned is like fear is a paralysis, and if you let it control you, you won't be able to accomplish great things. So you have to find ways to overcome that. And I think that's what's really big about a big factor of having your own practice, if that's what you want to do, or even taking a leap of faith in leadership in your firm. So I didn't let it stop me.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. They say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So
yeah,
as easy as it is, it's true. So Al, tell us how you started to get clients once you decided to go out on your own. You mentioned reaching out to mentors, but how did you get those first clients through the door?
Oh, wow. The first client, and it was a small client. I mean, I might have charged $250 to write a letter for someone who I can't even really remember what it was. I started off in an executive suite. I didn't have a whole office, because I didn't have that many clients. So I didn't need a full office. I couldn't afford a full office. I had, some money stashed aside, but I had a family and was, trying to, pay bills and all of that. So it was a lot of pressure. But what I did do that helped is I networked like crazy. I didn't really have a lot of money for advertising, but I went to every happy hour. I went to, organizational happy hours and any networking events outside of the law, BNI, other type of networking events. I also looked into, and when I talked to my mentors about referral places, I didn't know or even hear about Houston Lawyer Referral Service till I was several years into practice. But I had heard about like other ones, maybe ARAG, or I branched out and was doing things different and just kind of hustling. I found, I ended up doing probation and parole appointments, getting on the list for those, which was very helpful because I just wanted to you got to keep the pipelines done. Full, even if it's only a couple $100, you just got to keep a check coming in. One for your own, for your financial well-being, but for your mental well-being, that you're actually, progressing. I talked to other lawyers about, stuff they didn't want to do. And the longer you're in practice, the more things you don't want to do. And someone will, pass you a piece of the work that they have and pay you for it. Or they'll give you cases that they don't, like I only practice in a couple areas. So I am always sending out my family law cases. I am always sending out my criminal law cases and bankruptcy cases. But over the years, people just know me as a lawyer, so they call me with whatever they have. And probably more than half of the time, I send them to HLRS because I can't really on the top think of someone specific that I want to send this client to. So I send them to HLRS. There's attorneys out there, you got to stay networked in, which is hard for a lot of attorneys. It's easy for some because a chunk of us are extroverts, but a chunk of us are introverts, and it's very difficult to get out and meet people and strike up that conversation. So, I just started generating income by word of mouth and just being around, and it built on that.
Well, and that's a great point. A lot of times when we think about networking to get clients, we're thinking about going to outside organizations where there aren't lawyers, because you don't want to compete with a ton of lawyers to get clients. But that's a great point that other lawyers will send you work that they don't want to do. Like you send out your family law cases that many people do not want to handle. So that's a great point. Ruby, so you're in immigration, which is more of a niche area. When you started, were you strictly taking immigration cases, or so it's easier to branch out in civil litigation, there's so many facets of it, but in a niche area like immigration, what is your advice to somebody who wants to start, criminal defense, family law, immigration, wherein the practice areas don't cross over as much as civil litigation? Would you recommend that they take everything?
No, I wouldn't. Immigration in itself, people might not realize, has like a lot of different areas. It's even hard for one attorney to stay on top of it. We have family-based investment, employment, humanitarian. Humanitarian has a lot of aspects, including asylum, victims of crime, trafficking, and then even the employment can be very complex. Sometimes people just have subsections of specialties. Then you have naturalization and you have immigration court. And then on top of that, the government's always changing things. So I think sticking within my one area of law, I'm never bored, and I'm always learning something more. But it was very challenging, like I was saying, to start a business and learn, where do you put your energy? What do you do for yourself? What do you hire? Is that a good deal? Reviewing quotes, figuring out who to hire to be a staff, when to hire staff. and then also trying to learn the law at the same time, because I basically had only been an attorney for 1 year before I even was able, I started my own law firm. But one thing that I had done is I'd interned like crazy. I'd interned and clerked. I'd worked for the Committee on Homeland Security before law school. I worked at the International Student Office at UT during 9/11, 2001. So I had a lot of exposure and immigration experience before I even became licensed. And so I think that really helped me to sort of just leapfrog into being able to have my own practice. But it just was really exhausting too, because I always was asking questions. Like those of you who are at really big firms or have like more than a few attorneys and staff, like you really could just shoot an email or a chat or go to the water cooler and ask a question. And like it's almost effortless, right? But like when you're on your own, like you're like, who do I ask? What are they gonna think I'm bothering them? And that's why you pretty much need to have a wide, like just like I was talking about, I networked like a ton, and I had sort of like my mini experts and mentors in all the areas. And then I would like try to help somebody, and then I would ask a favor, and it was a bit exhausting, honestly. but that's what you have to do when you're trying to balance becoming, being better at your craft as the technician, as the E-Myth book would say, as an attorney, and then also having your own firm.
Right, and we'll dive into that a little more. How do you check yourself basically when there's nobody else to check you? But did you find it difficult to find strictly immigration clients? Or
No.
Okay.
No, because I mean, we have this city is a big immigration hub. We have the asylum office, the immigration courts. We have two international airports. And in fact, some people who live out farther away, like an hour or two away, sometimes they only hire big city attorneys because for immigration specific that they think have more experience. And in fact, because it's an area that's federal, I really wasn't even limiting myself to just Texas clients or Houston. When I later ran my law firm from Dubai, I really focused on a niche area of immigration. And because during that time, I had clients all over the US and the world on that one specific area of immigration. So, but I mean, yes, you hustle. And the thing is like, I remember, okay, you hustle and hustle to get the phone to ring. Okay, great. Then you have to work the case. Then if you forget to hustle to get the phone to ring, then the phone won't ring. And so it's like you have to constantly be becoming a better lawyer, networking, getting the phone to ring, and just sort of juggling all those balls at the same time. And if you don't, then you're gonna mess up your pipeline.
Well, I will not feel bad for myself for the rest of the day, since I only have to work on the tasks that I've been given. So good little realization there. So for both of you, what is one, I guess I'll use the millennial term, what is one cringe detail that you wish you would have been able to avoid at the onset of your practice, or rather the most difficult lesson you learned, something that you think back and be like, I wish somebody would have told me this. I would have changed, X, Y, Z if I would have known this today. And I recognize that was a loaded question. So any tips that you just wish you would have known when you started?
Sometimes you undersell yourself. You don't value your own worth as much as you should. And also there are times when outside financial pressures mentally kind of screw with you and put you in a position to take work that you are sometimes maybe not qualified for, or to charge less than what you would because you think they're going to balk at a higher number. So if I've taken on a lot of cases, and I've done a lot of things, and I don't regret like taking on the case from several different areas. I've taken on a couple immigration cases, like an E2 and an EB5 case, and I made a lot of money, but they made me realize I'm going to leave immigration to other people. And I've taken on some DUI cases and some like small drug cases, an assault case. And going down to the criminal courthouse, you know, day in and day out, made me realize I'm not going to be doing this. And so, but some cases I took early on, there are telltale signs, and I can't exactly pinpoint them now because I think it's going to be different for everyone as you mature in your practice. There are telltale signs about certain clients that I do not pair well with. And I've shorted myself early on in times that I look back and I go, I did all that work. I didn't make any money for it. Or I should have saw that wasn't a good case early on. But now I'm stuck in it and I've got to ride it out. So those are the things that I would, tell my younger self, or I wish someone else had told me to look out for. But again, you don't necessarily listen to all the advice someone gives you. You got to sometimes buy those lessons and pay full tax.
So what I'm hearing is figure out what your red flags are early, trust your gut, and set your boundaries.
Yeah.
Stay true to yourself, I guess, from the onset.
Yeah.
What about you, Ruby? Any nuggets of knowledge?
Well, I think that's true because what might have worked for one person might not work for you. So, you might ask, like, to friends, what did work for you to get marketing and the phone to ring? And they might say this, and then you try it and it doesn't work for you. You also have to, like you were saying, be true to yourself. Like, who are you? What do you want in life? What do you want for your firm? And you really have a guiding purpose of your mission and vision, and really you need to have smart goals for your professionally and personally, and for your business. And so I think some of the things I wish I probably should have had some more courses on finance and business earlier on. I started in 2009. I didn't do the Goldman Sachs 10,000 business program until 2015, but that was a really big game changer for me. And then also, I would say, like, this might be more nitty gritty, but like I probably should have put all the emails of everybody in one place and created a newsletter earlier on. I do have them in random places, but later on, I cleaned that up. And I probably should have been better at closing and shredding cases as I went, even though I didn't make it a priority. And then COVID happened, and I think we shredded like 1,000 files or something. And so when I moved, it was really nice because I didn't have a whole bunch of old cases. I wasn't paying storage or anything. But I think overall, having a group of mentors that you trust, whatever they say, and have their expertise that you can go to, having those resources are really important. And not just like knowledge, but also people who know you and are rooting for you to help keep you moving forward when you have challenges, maybe with the economy or finances or a tough case or a tough HR situation when you need to let somebody go. So it's great to have a variety of people you can call on to get advice and push you through those difficult times.
So I'm glad you brought up HR. Just quick caveat, if anybody has a question for anybody, please feel free to put it in the chat. We want to make this conversational, although we can't see everybody on Zoom. We're happy to engage and read the questions from the chat box. So, feel free to put it in there. So back to HR, there are some horror stories about people working at smaller firms or with solos who they may be incredible lawyers, but we are attorneys. Not all of us are business people. Not all of us are the best HR people. How have you mastered hiring and managing? Or maybe it hasn't been mastered yet and it's a skill that you're working on. What advice do you have that for new lawyers starting their own shop?
I would say you have to invest, when you're hiring a new person, you have to invest a lot of time in the search, because there are candidates out there, but they're not necessarily the right fit for you. So you have to create, we created some template questions there's specific work that I want you to do if you're a legal assistant or paralegal, and I'll have an assignment set up where you could do it. It won't, 10, 15 minutes. That's if we're really, serious about bringing you on, and then make a commitment, because my assistants and paralegals that I've hired, I make a commitment early on to make sure they get trained and trained well, and give them some grace during the training part, because a lot of times it's maybe a new system, a management system they're not familiar with, or an area of practice they're not familiar with. And it's up to me to make sure they know how to do it right, that they take good notes, they can go back and do it, and that they can always come to me and ask ask any questions. So being open and having a full communication with your staff is important, but up front, doing the 1 or 2 extra hurdles to make sure you're getting the right person with at least the basic competency level that you would like. And you may love their personality, you may even really want to work with them, but you realize, like, man, they don't have these certain skills that's going to allow them to, I'm going to end up being frustrated, and they're going to end up frustrated. Spending that time. So that would be my recommendation.
Did you have a mentor that you reached out to and said, hey, I'm hiring my first person, any advice? Or did you just practice through trial and error?
No, I did. I was fortunate. One of my mentors was leaving and moving after a couple months of me opening my own practice. His lease was up, and he had a huge suite with like 3 or 4 lawyers, and 2 of those lawyers were leaving and wasn't moving to the new suite. And so he asked me, hey, you want one of these offices? And we could share the suite. It had multiple conference rooms, and we had about 4 attorneys there. 3 of them, they were all way more seasoned than I. So I was very, very fortunate to watch them. I probably went a year, 2 years without hiring an assistant, because I didn't have the caseload. A lot of the work I just did myself, and I'm glad I did, because it slowed me down a lot, but it kept me busy, and it allowed me to perfect the proper way to do it, so it's easier to teach someone else. And watching the fellow attorneys around me, they were all, my mentors on one level or another. Just actually watching them hire and fire, and people not work out, and things, doing certain things that help them keep their staff and keep good staff, and weed out. When they started getting a better person, I'd recognize and I'd ask, like, where'd you find that person? And some of it is easy to just, another attorney recommended them. They left their office a couple of years ago, and now they're looking for a job. So that was a lot of it is, again, relationships. So you can get a good referral from another attorney who's maybe known an assistant, and that assistant didn't work for them for like the last several years, but they're looking for an opportunity. So.
Absolutely. And Ruby, I briefly clerked at an immigration firm. Wasn't for me. There was a lot of paper. How do you keep, frankly, it was just way too hard, and I give you all the props because I did not understand anything ever. How do you keep track of, you really need to be organized in immigration. Do you have a HR person, or when do you make the decision to outsource some of that hiring help? Or when is the defining moment that I need to spend money on hiring, maybe a legal assistant manager or a senior paralegal?
Well, I just want to say, this is a very complex area that I think holds a lot of attorneys back. We are not generally taught how to manage. We don't know that much about HR. We just sort of finagle our ways through it. I think we discredit the amount of work it takes to be really good at it, and this is what keeps, I think, a lot of people from being able to grow. I really like the book E-Myth Revisited, and it talks about we're the technician. So in this case, we're the lawyer, we're a manager, and we're an entrepreneur when we have a business. But a lot of times people think, oh, I'm a lawyer, so I can have my own firm. Well, you can only do that to a certain extent, but if you don't know how to manage and find the right people, encourage and grow those people, be able to learn from when people leave, then you're really not going to be able to take your firm to the or business to the next level. And that's really where managing is important at the maturation stage, the adolescent stage, they say in the beginning, in the middle, I'm sorry. And so I learned a lot from mistakes. I asked lots of questions, but I also just made mistakes. Like sometimes you have to listen to your gut. There's certain things like doing background checks, references, just how they conduct themselves in interviews. A lot of us are doing interviews wrong. And I use some contract services and mentors to teach me how better to interview. So that being said, even if you find the right people, and a lot of us were having a hard time finding the right people, then the next challenge is how do you keep them engaged? And so that's its own thing. And then really a lot of really good employees and staff want to see an opportunity for growth. And so if you don't have that at your firm, due to your size, or you don't see how you can give them more training or opportunity or move up, create opportunities within your firm, then you'll lose people. And so that's also where a lot of small firms who don't have like a partner track lose people as well. So all I would say is this could probably be one of the hardest areas of having your firm, because if you're weak in any capacity on this, then I would say definitely have consultants, mentors, or hire somebody in the office manager who can help supplement your skill set so you can focus on other things. I think what helped me was I had interned. I managed a lot of volunteers in college and high school. And then I also worked at the Princeton Review right out of college. And I managed a whole bunch of contractors. So that was like sort of my foray into to management. But I will tell you that's really what helped me stumble a lot in the beginning, until I learned a lot more and had some really good advisors. And now I have someone in the office who helps me filter hires and has a second point of view before we hire. And we've learned a lot of best practices since then.
Yeah, and that's great to know, especially in the beginning. I think the majority of people probably don't have, a stack of cash that they're sitting on to go start their own firm. So I think it's important to know where to put your resources in the beginning, what you would have the best return on investment for. And it sounds like managing, hiring, outsourcing is one of the buckets that would rank high on the investment list. Do you guys have any additional initial investments that you think people should make when starting their own firm that might not be obvious? Soup, you're muted.
I think they might not. I think you need to make sure you invest in yourself, not just CLEs, but in learning about business, because the thing is like we're not, a lot of times we think we're the only ones who are experiencing these things, but in reality we're all like in silos and we're all experiencing the same problem. And when I did this business program, and I was in the room, I was the only attorney of 30 business owners. Everybody was having the same problems, maybe a little bit different, but it was the same core thing about HR, marketing, operations, finances, all that. So I think I wish I would have invested more in sort of filling in my gaps of business ownership and business knowledge earlier on. But I think I was sort of like playing whack-a-mole, trying to figure out how to have a business and learn how to be an attorney and get through a recession all at the same time. So that's one thing. But I think what's the other big challenge about investing or money is like, when do you're constantly asking yourself, when do you invest in something, and when do you try to do something yourself? When do you hire someone to help you, and when do you do it, and at what point? Because you could lock yourself into some contract that could really, in the beginning, could fundamentally just derail your whole business. So that's what can be very stressful at the beginning.
I'd have to agree with Ruby. the investment in yourself is number one, to surround yourself with good people, but also take the early time when you maybe have fewer clients, to read or invest in short seminars or CLEs that will kind of build your base. If it's an area of law, even if you've practiced a couple years at a firm and you're just striking out, you oftentimes, unless you've been practicing maybe 15, 20 years and then strike out where you got a really, really good expertise. But if you're, a young attorney, then you want to spend the time getting back into the books and learning about your craft, not just the direct information for your practice area, but also how to build your weaknesses in yourself. If you have troubles speaking to crowds, then investing in books and resources that will help develop that area of your person, and it will pay dividends across the board, not just in your practice, but in your life. It will give you, confidence to speak out and on issues that may have nothing to do with the law. It may give you opportunities or put you in places for opportunities that really doesn't have anything to do with the law, but actually may help your business because it presents you in a different way than just a lawyer, but an expertise in another area that you may have.
Great points. So to that end, when you're running your own firm, I mean, like Ruby said, you're working around the clock. I mean, it's you. How do you guys strike a balance? Like, do you ever, I know none of us ever really turn it off because we're all type A attorneys generally, but how do you, step away from work and relax? Do you have any self-care tips for somebody starting their own firm? Like, what is a good way to just turn it off for the weekend? Because we have to take care of ourselves. Any advice to that?
Yeah, physically take care of yourself. Like, actually spending the best antidepressant in the world is exercise, whether it's a little bit or a lot, and getting outside. A lot of, we're attorneys, so for the vast majority of us, we're in our offices. But taking that time, realizing even though maybe this is not the most productive in directly tied to money or the practice, but if you're running your own firm, you've got all day. Make sure you take some of that day to get out and put some sunshine on your face. It's a beautiful day. Go out, have a cup of coffee, clear your mind, have a walk, and reflect on all the things that you should be happy and grateful for. Because if you're running your own practice, there's a lot of stressors, but there's a lot of benefits. You have a level of freedom that's, close to unsurpassed, and you have a level of opportunity that's limitless. To when you own your own practice, especially a legal practice, there's really no ceiling. And so taking time to be grateful for that, and to take care of your body, because if you're not exercising, you're not sleeping well, then you're going to be it's going to be easier for you to get depressed. It's going to be easier for you to get frustrated. It's going to be easier for you to forget or pass up certain opportunities because you just won't have the energy. So you got to and don't be afraid to take a vacation and love on yourself a little bit, or that daily spa, that spa, or get your nails done, whatever, go hunting, go fishing, and turn it off. Because some areas of law are, and sometimes very time sensitive, but a lot of times you may have things on your plate that can wait a day or two. So, for the phone call back, to where you don't necessarily have to put it on your mind, and use that time wisely to kind of take care of yourself and rejuvenate.
And while you were saying all those things, I realized a lot of the CLE and conversation today has been like, what's been the hardest thing for you? You know, what are the struggles? But really, a lot of people want to start their own firm. That way they can go work at a coffee shop or go to breakfast before work, or, you know, take a 2-hour lunch and do yoga in the middle of the day. What, Ruby, is your, what are your favorite things about running your own law firm?
Well, I feel like I've been short-staffed for a couple months more than normal, so I don't remember what the favorite things are. No, just kidding. There's been some. Well, I mean, I kept the firm running when I went to Dubai, and for about 14 months, and I was running my law firm from Turkey and Dubai. I whether it's a good or bad thing, like having children, I was able to make my schedule work. If I needed to drop them off, pick them up at different times. I'm able to buy a house 1 mile away from my daughter's elementary school, so I can go pick her up when school is out and let her go play with her little friends or come over and invite friends over. Um, I I'm talking to my kids. I'm like, let's go to Costa Rica, work on your Spanish, and I'll just work remotely. And they're like, okay, that sounds like fun, Mom. And so, like I could do that if I wanted to. I mean, I think there's what you can do and what you do. So you have to make sure that you block off time and make priorities to do these things, because you could just get into the routine and not take advantage of it. So, I mean, blocking off time for self-care, blocking off time to work on your business are super critical. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to get ahead and you're going to get burnt out. So I think it's good to have a good self-care routine that involves your mental, spiritual, physical, and educational realms on a regular basis. But I mean, um, I think having the freedom, like right now, I'm sitting in the kitchen / conference room of our new office, and just having the windows open and seeing my little citrus trees outside in the lobby and getting ready, to just to be able to. I feel really comfortable here. I'm really happy that I can move my firm here after so many years of wanting to do this, and just having I can control my schedule if I want to go to conferences or work on extra pet projects and things like that. So that's also fun too.
I was about to say, I'm going to come work in your kitchen, but I see some of my coworkers are on this attendance list, so don't go tell anyone. So we're running out of a little bit of time. There were a few questions and notes that I wanted to mention. For Ruby, you had mentioned the Goldman Sachs program. Can you briefly, since we are running out of time, elaborate on what that program is and maybe pop the name of it in the chat?
Yeah, let me find a link for it. But basically, Goldman Sachs, 10,000 businesses, they started this, I don't know how many years ago, but basically it was a program to teach in one semester, and they have it here at HCC here in Houston. I basically have it all around the country. Some people do it only remotely and some people do it in person, but I did it in Springfield.
Oops, she's cutting out.
Kind of locked up, Ruby.
Okay, well, I'll use the time until her thing, Zoom unfreeze. Oh, you're back. You had first.
We met about once a week, and we learned a lot about business. And the different topics were HR, business, marketing, negotiation. It really helped transform my business.
Okay, so we'll look for that link in the chat. You had also put, Ruby also teaches at South Texas College of Law, the law practice management class on Tuesdays from 5:30 to 7:30. She has generously offered for anybody to go sit in on the class. If you're available, that information is also in the chat. I've heard it's very comprehensive and, elaborates on the things we've talked about today, probably in a way more organized manner than I have moderated, but that's great. Also tonight, there is a happy hour at the R24, which is apparently a swankier bar at the Hilton Americas. It is completely free. It's with HYLA and Houston Lawyer Referral Service. It starts at 6. Parking is validated. Just bring your ticket to the bar when you come. So we would love to see you guys there. Bring whoever you want. It is free. The Hilton Americas has generously offered to sponsor it. So feel free to bring 10 or 50, don't bring 50 people, but if you want to bring a friend, that's great. Somebody said, I don't see the information in the chat. I'm not sure what information you are referring to, but if you scroll up, there's information about the law practice.
Is it only to the hosts and panelists? Is everybody getting to see that or not?
Oh, I see the link, the 10,000 businesses link.
I think it's because.
Okay, we'll send an email at the end of this with all of the information that's been captured in the chat. That way, if anybody wants more information. So we'll send out an email link to everything for Mark, who had commented that. Does anybody, Ruby or Al, any last minute comments or tips for all of our viewers?
Thank you guys for coming. If you have any questions or you want to follow up, I am a resource. I will be more than happy to talk to you. I'll drop my email in the chat, so feel free to come by. And like Ruby said, I think for every small firm or solo practitioner, the number one and number two favorite part is the freedom. You've got the freedom to structure your life in a way in which you makes you happy. And the more you kind of dig into your resources and make more money, the more freedom you have. So that's my, I guess, final tip or whatever, is that it's the favorite part, is the ability to kind of do what do your job where you want to practice and how you want to do it. And the fact that you wake up and there's really no ceiling. Like your work effort can take you as far as you would like.
Wonderful.
And I think just having mentors, reading HBA, I forgot to mention HBA Law Practice Management section is really great. I'm on the board of that. I've been going pretty religiously, prior president on that. And just having a good network, your tribe of people that you can call upon, you have that freedom if you use it, and that not having a ceiling on your potential can be overwhelming. But finding that balance, if you take care of yourself and the people around you on then you keep striving for more greater things, you're going to do well. And I mean, I would just say we didn't really talk too much about like the clients and everything, but being able to choose the cases I want to take and seeing the growth in my staff and my clients and just this journey, it's been very rewarding as well. So I thank you for having me, and hopefully all those resources I'm posting can get to you. But I'm on LinkedIn, and you can email me. I can stop by one of my classes if you want to, and just for fun. And I'm always looking for co-panelists too if you want to talk on something. But thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, y'all add them on LinkedIn. I think that's a great idea. I added you guys this morning, but I think LinkedIn is a great way to start, especially, 5-10 year plan if you want to branch out. So go ahead and do that, and add me too. But thank you guys so much. Our time is up, and I'll send that email with everybody, or with all of the information. And this is CLE credit, so we'll make sure that everybody gets that. Also, I just popped my email in the chat. If you have any questions about HYLA, HLRS, litigation, just kidding, don't email me about litigation, but.
Mine only sends the message in the chat to the host and the panelists. And
I just sent it to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we'll follow up with an email so everybody will get that.
Okay, awesome.
So, okay, thank you all so much. Have a great day, and we hope to see everybody tonight at 6 p.m. at the Hilton America downtown. You can park there and have your ticket validated. Just come for 30 minutes if you can, sit out traffic. So look forward to that. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Ciara. What a great job. Did a great job, Ciara.
Thank you.
We're going to do a photo for the presenters.
Okay, how do we do that?
Just stay, just smile. And then if Sam will come back, we can do a photo.
Okay.
There she is.
Okay, y'all ready? I'm sorry, my kid's in the background crying, but all right. 1, 2, 3, smile. Keep smiling, keep smiling, keep smiling. Where's my thing? Okay. Perfect. I'm gonna send it to y'all. Thank
These
you. Let me
Zoom-
do one more. Hold on, let me do one more just in case. Hold on.
These Zoom screenshots haunt me. They're so-
Okay, ready? 1, 2, wait a minute. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, smile. Smile. Keep smiling. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'll send y'all the
you.
photos.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great job. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Have a good
Yeah.
one.
Bye.
Have a great day. I'll end it. Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Hey, good job, Ruby.